Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today let's go over a premium question in the hard category in the database section that I just solved on my own. So I'm super happy about this and I'm very glad that I was able to come up with my own solution to this question without any assistance. So let's go over it and let me show you how I did it. This is question 1645, Hopper Company Queries 2. Okay, so basically here we're trying to report for each month of 2020 where we have the join date and the driver ID. So for each month in 2020 from January all the way to December, we're trying to record the working percentage, which is just the number of drivers that accepted at least one ride during the month without duplicate drivers, divided by the available drivers during the month. And you can see it's not a duplicate driver because of the test cases. You can see that the active drivers, so these drivers are going to be unique. So that's a key point there. And also, first, let's go ahead and grab all the dates. Let's just make this simple and go step by step so we don't overwhelm ourselves. So let's call this all months. And let's just do this manually. I'm pretty sure there's a better way of doing this, but again, this is my own solution and it's the way I feel most comfortable of doing it. So that's what I'm going to show you. 05. So just getting each month of 2020. 08, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so now what we need to do is to first get all the logs, just the join date and the driver IDs, because that's going to be the denominator. So let's call this months, or let's just call this join dates for I driver and enumerate drivers join dates. Let's just go ahead and say join dates dot append the driver. I know this is not a good name. Let's just call this JD. And then drivers driver ID of I. And then also join dates. We want to sort it by the actual join date. So that's going to be the 0th index in each sublist in the matrix. So let's go ahead and print join dates. So cumulative ordered by the timestamp. Okay, so let's call this, because we're trying to find all up to a particular point, only 2020 years up to that point, but 2019 still counts. For example, this month would have 3 because 10, 8, and 6. So let's go ahead and have the driver state. So we're going to keep appending no matter what, but we're only going to print if we're on a year 2020, right? So for I, let's use this, J, and enumerate join states. And now driver states dot append J of 1, which is going to be the driver ID. And then only, so let's call this the current date, is going to be string of J of 0 dot splits of 0 up to, well, we can just do this because if we print cur dates, we're going to get 3 parts. And we also just want to also split this by the dash. Okay, so if cur dates of 0, index 0 of this list is going to be equal to 2020, then let's go ahead and print the driver state along with the actual month. So let's call this cur month is cur date of 0 plus adding this back on 1. Let's print cur month and driver state. So you can see that this is going to be the denominator. And so 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're just going to say, let's call this denominator is going to be a dictionary, and this is just going to be denominator of cur month is going to be the length of driver state. Let's go ahead and print denominator just to validate our work. Okay, cool. So you can see we have some results there, and 2, 3, just for February 3. So that lines up with what we see, just so we're on the right track. That's good. And let's call this with missing, because for example, April is missing. So for month in all months, if month is not in denominator, then what we're going to do is, let's call this sorted months is sorted. Well, this is already sorted, so that's fine. But we also need to sort the denominator's keys, because what we're going to do is, well, we already have the missing month. So we're actually going to just say we're going to do a bisect left on, so this is where sorted months comes in, because if we're having a gap, we're going to use the one right before the current date that is the closest to the current date. So if we have, let's say 1, 4, 5, and we're on 3, then we're going to use the value for 1 that's already as a key inside of denominator. Okay, so we're going to do a bisect left there. And so if BL is bigger than or equal to 0 and it's less than length of sorted months, that means the binary search is actually in bounds. We can find a date that is earlier. So in that case, we would just say the val is sorted months BL, and we would just say with missing of month is equal to val. Okay, so it's going to be, this is just the month, and then denominator of value is actually going to give us the length. Cool. So in any other case, we're just going to set it equal to 0, because it says right here, if number of available drivers during a month is 0, we consider working percentage to be 0. And otherwise, if it is, then we just set with missing month, same thing, denominator value, because it is not missing. For example, January of 2020 is not missing, so we just set it to that value. Cool. So let's call this with missing and denominator. So denominator of month, same thing. Okay, cool. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, we need to do BL -1 because that's not the current one. The current one is missing, right? So if we're missing 3, then we're going to use 1 in the list that I showed you before. If it's like 1, 3, 4, we're looking for 3, then we're going to use 1. We can't use 3 because it's not even in the list. Okay, so now that we have that, looks like March is 4, 4, 5, 5. That's correct. Cool. So now we can go ahead and actually take care of the numerator, which is a number of drivers that accepted at least one ride during the month. So for this, let's just actually submit this just so we don't lose our work in case. Okay, so at least one ride during the month. That means that we're going to go through this. So for call this requested, or let's just call this, yeah, let's call this requested at in rides, requested at. So if this is, well, let's get the, what am I trying to do here? Let me think. Accepted at least one ride during the month. Okay, so we're gonna loop through accepted rides and match the ride ID here to here. So the ride ID is ride ID of I, and that's why we actually need to enumerate this so we can get the corresponding index. If we're here, we want to be able to get this cell, and then we can just say ride ID. So let's call this ARID so we don't confuse ourselves. If RID is equal to ARID, then let's go ahead and actually print the number of drivers that accepted. So accepted rides driver ID of J, right? Let's call this J because that's different. It's corresponding here and here, a different index than here and here, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. That's weird. Actually, how many accepted? Let's print the requested date as well. Requested date. See if we see a pattern, because for one, no accepted rides at the end of January. Okay, so yeah, that's correct, because you can see 3/6. So we only do this for 2020. So if, let's call this parsed is dot split of 0 dot split this one. So if parsed of 0 is equal to 2020, then we can go ahead and do this, because we only care about the months in 2020. Okay, cool. So you can see 3, 6, 7, 8 are the only ones, and 11 pops up twice. Perfect. This is what we want, because we're just going to count this, right? We're going to count this, and actually, in addition to that, ride ID, hold on, driver ID of J, because it's important that we don't duplicate things. And let's just create a numerator default dict of type set, because we're going to add that, and then we're going to compare the lengths of the same date of the same month in the numerator and the denominator. So okay, so all right, so let's call this parse date. Is we only want this part, so string of dot splits of 0 up to 7, and we can just say numerator of parsed date dot add accepted rides driver ID of J, because Again, we want to count how many drivers accepted at least one ride during the month. Now, all these drivers count, right? So for 11, that's going to be 2. And let's say that this was also March, then it would still be only 1 because you can't count the same driver twice, right? The number of drivers implies that they have to be unique. Cool. So now let's go ahead and go over all of the dates. So for month, in all months, let's go ahead and print. Well, so now that we have that, we can just say if month is inside of numerator, then let's print month, and if it's not in otherwise, let's print month numerator month divided by denominator month. So it's supposed to be the length, because these are sets and they have sizes. Oh, numerator month. It's length numerator month. Not sure how I did this. This might have been an integer. Or month not in denominator. Okay. All right. That's weird. 3 is 2, 5, but 6 and 7. Let's go back to doing this. Like 6 is supposed to have 1. Let's print parse dates. Yeah, that seems correct. So numerator supposed to be for 6. Okay, so the number of drivers accepted at least one ride divided by the available drivers during the month. Yeah. Is it driver state.copy? Maybe we don't want to modify that. No. Yeah, denominator current month. Yep. So let's print denominator to see what's going on. So for 6, for example. Oh, why is 6 not inside of here? We never inserted. Oh, it's supposed to be with missing month. With missing. And that is of type. Cool. All right. So now denominator was the one that was missing. Okay, perfect. So you can see, let's go down. Okay, perfect. So we basically have a result, and we just have to round this, multiply by 100 by 2. Cool. So, and then also we just have to get the first part, which is just this instead of 0, 1, or the whole date is just string, is just month. It's already a string. Dot split by dash -1 and then an integer. And let's create an answer list. So let's say answer.append first 0. Otherwise, value is round length numerator month divided by with missing month times 100 round to 2. Hopefully no syntax errors. Val 0. Oh, first val. Okay, cool. So last but not least, sort it by the month. Return the result table ordered by month in ascending order. That's going to be our 0th index of each sublist. X0. Cool. So let's print answer just as a final check. Cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everything looks good. Perfect. Make 2 columns. Fill in month, working percentage, AB, and then just return it. Create an empty data frame. Month, the first column. Working percentage B. And then just return result. So let's run this. Submit it. And there you go. Passes all test cases. So again, I'm super glad that I was able to come up with my own solution to this question without any assistance and solve it completely on my own. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more.